Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Red from Metagang, and today we are here with a pure branded SVO profile. I would give you guys my sideboard. Unfortunately, I'm gonna keep that a little bit secret because that's more for me with how the format is, this, that, and the other. I do have other cards I do want to give honorable mentions to, this, that, and the other, so, you know, stay till the end of the video for the honorable mentions. Either way, we'll get right into it. Starting off, we have your normal basic ratio for the monsters. You know, we're just gonna go archetype staples, this and the others. Starting off, we got 3 Loober. It's gonna get you a branded spell or trap upon summon, normal or special. 3 copies of Funnel of Albaz. I do want to give a shout out to Chris from Metagame GX for autographing my Albaz. You're a freaking pimp. I love you. You're the reason why I still play this, low-key. Either way, continuing on with Albaz, it's pretty much a super poly you're going to fusion summon by using itself, plus other monsters from your opponent's field, by discarding 1 for cost, like I said, using itself and then others. This is kind of your hand fixer, so if you see this off the rip, it's going to get you a free +1, just replacing itself with another random card, being able to send a branded spell or trap from deck. But if you send a branded spell or trap from hand, or if you send Fawn of Albaz itself, you can special summon, this dude from the hand. Continuing on, which I feel like is mandatory, 2 Quim. Quim on summon, it's going to send Fawn of Albaz or monster that mentions it, and then if any card will use the extra deck in some way, somehow, between it being sent to grave by card effect, if you fusion Synchro Link XZ, or if you play Pot of Desires or Prosperity, and extra deck card still winds up leaving, it's going to trigger to special summon Fawn of Albaz or monster that mentions it. We're going to play 2 Quim just because she's a free body essentially. If you don't wind up seeing what you need to see, you can use her to set up in specific ways. Even if you wind up having to normal summon her, there's still other cards that you could potentially pair up with it to make it such a devastating board. Cartesia has a lot of potential. I'm sorry if I said Quim prior beforehand. I meant to say Cartesia. The artwork throws me off. But continuing on, we got the Spriggan's Kit. The Spriggan's Kit kind of acts like a 4th Aluber, but you get to do what Aluber does from deck, grave, or banishment. So there's the versatility there, but you put 1 from the hand to the bottom. So, with the versatility comes cost, and we're willing to pay that. Continuing on, we got 1 Courier, 1 Tragedy. These guys are pretty much 1 card starters on their own. If you wind up opening with Foolish Burial and Gold Sark, that's a whole different thing for another video. So Tragedy, when it gets sent by card effect to the graveyard or banished by artifact, it's going to get you a Despia. Another thing that people fail to realize with Tragedy is it's kind of like your branded Retribution. You can banish it from grave and then target one of your branded spells or traps. Instead of adding it to hand like Retribution does, you're just going to set it to the field. A Courier is also a good extender if you open up Abyssials, or if you run Allure Darkness. I have a pile of cards for honorary mentions we'll go through later, but Allure Darkness was not in that, so there we go. You can also banish it off your Abyssials, which will still give you benefit effects, but we look at it for more of an interruption, being able to get rid of itself from the hand to negate a monster effect, and then if it's banished, you get to add Fawn of Albaz or monster that mentions it. Continuing on, going into the Bestial engine, it's not really much. We're just playing 3 Sarnier, because it pairs up with High Spirits being able to send itself. Another Dragon from extra deck to grave. Sarniers can activate to send you a Bestial or a branded spell or trap, and usually that's a pretty good extender if you wind up opening with Albion, or you can search your main deck Albion off of the High Spirits and just proceed to use that to extend later. We play 1 Lubellion just because I feel like it's good. If you go first, if you go second, it's kind of niche. Going second, it's a niche to where if you don't need to set up for the Devouring Fusion monster, the new guy, you can just do your basic combo, do this, have with Loss, this, and the other. Yeah, I did opt to play the Magnum. Usually not a lot of people do. I chose to opt to play it because it's just another Dragon Searcher. It can get you an interruption between the best steals. It can get you what you need to see if you wind up having in red or some other cards of example just for follow-up. Staples, they're not really a whole lot of much. We're playing the one Ido because we're still playing Sanctifier, unfortunately. It's still a test build, so the Sanctifier and Ido might wind up coming out at some point. Right now we're still playing it just because, you know, it's a safety net. It restricts our opponent from being able to play the game a little bit. And because it's so free, we might as well use and abuse it while we can before they pick up on it and kill it. Outside of that, for the last of our monsters, we're playing 3 full wallows. Just, you know, free draw power, being able to see what we need to see for interactions, this, that, and the other, potentially, or we can just use it for a hand fix, set on our hand, put cards back, and just call it a day. I wouldn't necessarily call this engine, but you guys can see how it sees fit. I kind of see this a little bit more of a staple. We're playing 3 of the new card, the Fallen and the Virtuous, being able to send a Monster Dimensions Fallen of Albaz and targeting for cost any card on the field to pop, or if you control a Ecclesia monster on your field or graveyard, you can target one monster in either graveyard and special summon it, so you get a free summon. It's pretty much Monster Reborn in a quick effect if you have the Ecclesia, and then it can also be used as an interruption to blow up cards. So you can see how it sees fit. I kind of see more as a staple. Going into the branded spells and traps, we got 2 fusion. We'd play 3 if we could, but unfortunately we only play 2. Being able to send Fallen of Albaz and another material dimensions, we can only use 2. We can't use 3, so unfortunately we can't make the new monster off this, but it still allows us to enable plays, extend this and the other. 3 copy High Spirits for consistency reasons. High Spirits Saranir is a broken combo, especially if you search out the Lubellion afterwards, or if you already have the main deck Albion. You can use this Saranir, search out the main deck Albion, and have a broken play to get branded fusion or any of your branded spell traps without having to normal summon or commit to activating opening. Speaking of, we play 3 of, not only will opening really get you your starters between Luber or Quim, but it will also give protection upon destruction, kind of like a Balinx effect if you guys know your Solomon Grade stuff. We play 1 lost. Your opponent can't activate anything in response to your fusion summons. So if you make Albion and you go lost 1 to search, lost 1 to search, Albion 2 to fuse, or still, because it's within the window, your opponent can't activate anything in response because of this. Because of this card, this is also the reason why we play Lubellion on 1, because depending on the play, we may not have this accessory of this to access into our play right away. So this will give us what we need. Continuing on for more interruption, we play the branded in red. It can kind of be used as a double-sided thing. I kind of choose to use it as more as I'm going to play on my opponent's turn because their turn is my turn, so it's our turn. Branded in white, just to summarize this, is pretty much invocation, so you're going to banish Fallen of Albaz, and then you can send to grave what other material you have, or if the material is engraved, you can banish it with Albaz instead. 1 banishment, it acts like a super poly with the revival for a monster reborn effect of a fusion monster that's 8 or higher, and you super poly by banishing. And then 1 retribution to either stop the special summoning of a monster by a spell, trap, or monster effect, or you can just banish it from grave to add a branded spell trap back. For the rest of the staples in the main deck, it's pretty much what makes the deck go round. We're playing in Goldstar. Foolish, we want our Mercurial and Tragedy to be live. Obviously, you can send Tragedy and Mercurial off of this. Off of this, you're going to mostly send your Tragedy, Called by the Grave, because, well, we hate hand traps. We're deciding not to run the triple tactic thrust, talent package, this, that, and the other. We're mostly upping consistency, and because of that, we are playing 3 fusion appointment, being able to reveal 1 or fusion summon, not fusion summon, special summon out the monster that's listed on the fusion material, so we can bring out Fallen of Albaz, or we can bring out Cortesia. And then just for a little bit more board breaker, we got Super Poly, being able to fuse all from our side of the field or the opponent's side of the field to make a little extra monster that we need for advantage. to save our life points, advantage to make our board bigger. Just Super Always a great card. If you're not playing 3, I recommend you play 3. Going into the extra deck though, it's pretty much your standard. You're gonna play 2 Abelion. I mean, not Abelion. You play 1 Blue Abelion. Instead of 2, I opted to run 1 just because it's easily cycleable between Quim and a couple other card effects involving Branded Banishment, just being able to bring back either a Fallen Albaz or, well, a monster that mentions on Albaz, which is a Suz, or a level 8 or higher fusion monster, which that is. We got the Sanctifier for the Hawk, it's running with Ido. Playing the Run Roam for the Interruption, but there's also a fun little negate thing, which I found a cycle loop for an Ido lock in that. We can get the combo line for that later. Be on the lookout for it. One Titaniclad for combo reasons, it's just going to give you Quim on the invades and give you everything else that you need that your opponent interrupted you on trying to do the first time around. This to pretty much put some resources back, but also at the same time, if you wind up sending it, it'll give you resources from the deck to the hand, being any Tribrigade card or Dogmatica cards. You can get the Mercurier if you're playing some weird Dogmatica branded deck, and you have a Ecclesia, I can find you the Fleur de Lis, and to say on follow-up you would have, like, there's just so much versatility with this card. It's great. I love it. I'm so glad that we got it finally. As for the follow-up, I'm still big on 2 Grand Guignol. Grand Guignol has a big reason outside of sending them off for Ido, because you can send a couple other things and have options depending on, again, how your opponent wants to interact with your plays, and the other. I choose to run the 1 per scan as an extra interruption. I think some graveyard effects are reliant in this, that, and the other, but if you can remove some of the optional things that they have available, then you can pretty much try to cripple down the strategy and get it to where they throat cut it as much as possible. We play the 1 Quaterus just because it's an OTK piece, and also as a safety net for modulation on attack. And then we play Chaos Star Source Dragon just to freely pop 2 cards, get rid of problems, floodgates, this and the other. We run your typical Super Poly targets at this point between Mud Dragon, being able to make shit unaffected by whatever you declare the attribute of, Garura to draw 1 or to inflict double damage when it does do damage, and Diraxopelia to be able to negate an effect. Some honorable mentions I do want to give here that I do have on hand are Incredible Ecclesia. It pairs up very well if you wind up opening with Lubellion early and you're looking to hit this at some point, being able to give it an extra 500 boost to make it to where this is unaffected by other things is phenomenal. Drone Lockbird is a great card. Mitsurugi is still a problem. They're adding from deck to hand, so this would be a great way to kill it. There's still maybe a couple other decks that I can't think of off the top of my head that will kill it outside of Mitsurugi. Yummy, Vase Surge, Draco Tail, sorta kinda, depends. The Bastiles, specifically Jerusalem, definitely an honorable mention there, should be self-explanatory. Book of Eclipse, if you wind up not picking up the structure decks, and this is a deck that you have right beforehand, Book of Eclipse is a great way to out hand traps and stuff, because it works pretty much the same way as what the Fallen and the Virtuous would for you. This is pretty much a Dark Ruler no more, but you gotta target one of your monsters. I mentioned Fallen of Albaz. You negate everything else, except for that one that you can target that's face up on the board at time. This is pretty much a recursion piece. It works almost the same as your Retribution, but you're just going to banish it to add a... double check. Banish this, then target one of your banished monsters that is Fallen of Albaz, or mention it. So it's a great way to get your Mercurier back, so you're able to Fallen of Albaz back itself, your Quim, Cortesia, your fusions, you know. I've almost considered this a 2. If you guys can find a build at 2, find me in the Meta Games GX Discord and get at me, and we can discuss. I really want to run this at 2 myself. Can't really find the space, but I can, but I don't want to give up the space. So I mean, discussion there. You have the light and darkness tracking as an option between not even the Super Poly but the brand management. Alba system, if you run the in white, or if you even just combo off it purely itself, you can use either Albion or Lubellion to make this guy, and you're still safe. Dragoon, I highly recommend. If you're going to play Dragoon, play the Dark Magician. It just combos too well with the deck because it's Dark type. And it's also a spellcaster, so there are other ways you can get around with some stuff and use it to be able to even land on this still. Guardian Chimera, I recommend Guardian Chimera for anybody who doesn't have access to the Star Source. Just not only because it does almost the same thing, but because with Guardian Chimera, if you use one more extra card, you get to draw one, so I mean you also get a hand advantage on top of removing cards. And then I've always been biased. Masquerade will always be on my sideboard. I know I said I don't have my sideboard, but I have my higher rarity, so I'll give a shout out there. Just your opponent has to pay 600 life points to even activate anything. So if your opponent plays Super Poly, they have to pay 600 life points to activate Super Poly. Just to put that in perspective. But yeah, that's Pierre Branded Despia. You know, hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below about what you guys think, what you guys would change, you know. I want to hear it all. This is Red. Catch you later.